Hi everybody, it's Rochelle from Raw from Rochelle, and today I thought I would share with you my healing journey because I think it's really important for people to understand where I'm coming from and also to share some tips and tricks and strategies that have got me to the healing point that I am right now. In no way, shape, or form am I 100% healed or in that realm. I'd say I'm on my way. And if this can help anybody out there, especially those that are dealing with celiac or scleroderma, but just autoimmune issues in general, because they are misunderstood at this day and age. So when I was 4 months old, I turned blue in my crib, stopped breathing basically, and we lived in the country, so my parents had to rush me to the hospital. Right then and there, I was diagnosed with asthma. It was the 70s, so asthma was sort of on the brink of the new thing that was coming out. I was put on inhalers, nebulizers, antibiotics, all the way through my childhood career. I basically was sick all the time, and it was awful. And there was no understanding about, why this was happening to me. And then from there on in, I, as a child, was put into many sports because sports were supposed to increase your lung capacity and help them strengthen. So I did figure skating and I did synchronized skating. I was on a national level synchronized skating team and also on fastball and baseball teams basically up till my 20s. And I enjoyed that. That was great. And it kept me fit and active. When I was in my teenage years, I ended up having really bad allergies. Actually, they never really improved since when I was a child. But anyways, I went to this specialist and he gave me a grocery bag full of medication. I left with a grocery bag full of medication. And unfortunately, my body ballooned up. It didn't know how to deal with the sheer amount of medication that was being thrown into my system, which was probably already not stable. And I truly believe all of this was because of food. I believe I had a dairy allergy when I was younger. I also believe that I probably had some sort of a wheat or gluten issue when I was younger, as well as the antibiotics, as well as the immunizations that I was being given. It just kept breaking and breaking and breaking down my body. So I got to my 20s. Had fluctuations with weight, was dealing with weight issues and body image issues, as most women do at that time. And that was really difficult for me. I developed an eating disorder and had bulimia for quite some time. And in university, was going to a support group for that as well. My mom passed away when I was 11. So I've had some emotional traumas along my life that have really contributed to, I believe, again, my mental, emotional, physical health. And that wasn't dealt with and, still working on that one. But in my 20s, it was my late 20s, I finally got out of university, got a job and bought my first home, was renovating my first home. And I ended up waking up one morning and my hands were on fire. Like that's the way that I could describe it to you. On fire. Like they hurt so bad, they were burning. But to touch, not hot, not swollen. So the doctors, of course, I went to rheumatologist after doctor. And here, take this medication, take that medication. We don't really know. It's lupus, it's fibromyalgia, it's arthritis, it's whatever they could slap on me to get me in and out the door and get their prescription filled. That's what they did. That was extremely frustrating. I went to several doctors. I remember one in particular in Toronto who was an absolute mean person. She poked and prodded at me, basically made fun of me, and sent me out the door crying. It was awful. It's demeaning. When you're sitting there saying, I do not feel well, these are my symptoms, and they're like, check, check, check. They don't really care. That is extremely frustrating to someone. And when you're not being heard, then you think, is it all in my head? Am I crazy? Everybody thinks I'm crazy because I look normal. I look like I should be able to do everything. I can't. Bottom line, I can't. So my journey for that has been a long one. I met my husband around the same age that I was diagnosed with lupus. And I said to him, look, you know what? Do you really want to get involved with me? I'm sick. Do you want to get involved with me? Because if you do, this is where we're going. I have no idea where I'm going to be in 10, 15, 20 years. Do you want to have children? I don't even know if I can have children. What's going to be the deal? And he said, nope, love you, support you. We'll do it together. Best blessing I've had in my life, to be honest with you. And from that point on, I had my first daughter and was on shared care with Mount Sinai because I was at high risk for preeclampsia, for kidney issues, for preterm labor, miscarriage, you name it, I was there. Mount Sinai, props to you. You guys are fantastic, so amazing. All three of my babies, I had shared care with you guys. Unbelievably amazing people. Anyways, so flash forward, 3 children, getting worse. Played with my diet a little bit here and there because I heard wheat might be a trigger. Lost a bit of weight before I had my third daughter. And just never felt better. I lost the weight, but I still had the pain. I still had the rashes. I still had the eczema. I still had the chronic fatigue. I don't want to do anything. I'm exhausted. I just want to lay down. I can't work out anymore. I've lost all of that. I've lost the ability to walk far. I've lost the ability to sleep. Sometimes I'm exhausted, yet I can't sleep. Rashes all over my body, hair falling out in clumps. When people look at you and they think, oh, you're normal because you're a bubbly personality. I'm one of those people that my husband calls me a chameleon. I literally just adapt. I just go with it. I just do it. And as much as it's killing me on the inside, I still do it. Anyway, so I get to my third daughter and this lump developed on the bottom of my heel. And when I would walk, it would literally feel like I was walking on a marble. So uncomfortable, so painful. And I thought, well, that's kind of strange, whatever. Anyways, had her. And after I had her, my finger blew up. This ring finger here, as you can see, it's kind of fat. And went in with her to get her ears checked because I thought she had an ear infection that day. And I just said to the resident doctor, I've been having these weird symptoms. Do you think this is normal? And she's like, heck no. You're doing an x-ray and we're getting blood work done. And I said, oh, and by the way, I've been asking about celiac disease. Is there a blood test for that? And she said, yes. I said, well, that's strange. I've been asking for 4 years now. And the response from my doctor was, oh, no, just a colonoscopy. And I didn't really want to do a colonoscopy, let's be honest. So I never did it. And I said, sign me up for that. So that was a Friday. On the Monday, I got a phone call that I was a raging celiac. I guess your blood number, correct me if I'm wrong. It's supposed to be about 13 or 12 or something like that in your blood. And I was 250. And the other thing was that my blood came back irregularly shaped, which is linked to the shape of my blood was linked to scleroderma, as well as the fact that they could see calcium deposits in my feet and my hands forming. So those 2 were confirmed. And all I got from the doctor was, these are your tests. These are your results. Go on a gluten-free diet. And, oh, by the way, you have about a 5-year window for scleroderma. I'm like, 5-year window? What do you mean by that? Oh, yeah, basically death sentence. I'm like, fantastic. I have a 1-year-old baby and 2 other children to look after, a full-time career and a home. And yeah, how am I going to do all this? So I was in denial about the scleroderma. I just kind of let it go. I just didn't do a lot of research on it. I thought maybe it would clear up over time. There's no medication. This whole time, I've been on multiple medications and had dropped down. I basically at that point in time believe I was only on prednisone and Nexium for my heartburn, which Nexium I've been on since I was 18 years old. No, before that, I think 16 years old. So here I am with this new diagnosis, trying to figure out what the heck I'm supposed to do with my life and how am I going to get better. And unfortunately, my life spiraled downhill from there. I finished off this school year not well. The summer got worse. And by the time I went to my job in September, I was done. I was depressed. I had anxiety. The rashes up my legs, the cuts on my fingers that would open up and bleed. And I was going through a box of Band-Aids a week. if not 2. So it was awful. And so I ended up having to go on a sick leave. And that entire sick leave, to me, was a blessing. Looking back on it now, at the time, not so much. But it was a time for me to actually research. I spent the first 2 weeks of my sick leave literally in bed. I couldn't move, couldn't get out. I got the kids to daycare and to school, and I went home and I crawled in bed. And that is where I stayed until 3 o'clock when I had to go pick them up and get them off the bus. That was my life. And then I brought my laptop to bed with me and I did research. I watched documentaries and I took notes and I read studies and I did everything. And I researched everything from cancer to autoimmune to diabetes to links to food. You name it, I researched it, I took notes, and I was a sponge. And that is how I've gotten sort of to this point. So I finished off that sick leave on a very sour note. Unfortunately, even though my doctor, sent in a stack this big of information to the medical company, for an insurance company, I didn't get coverage. You don't get coverage. For 3 months, no income, no savings, because at that point we had no savings because I'd been off for a year. We were literally living at the food bank for food. We had nothing. So forced back to work in September. Not better, but you're going back. Went back that year, tried to change my attitude because it's going to be positive. I'm going to make it through. Got to the end of the year and it just about killed me. And last summer was hard. It was not better. I felt awful all the time. I was huge. I gained so much weight. I felt awful. I had low self-esteem. I still had anxiety, like raging anxiety about everything. And nobody seemed to help. Nothing seemed to help. I feel like there's nobody out there that's going to save me, Rochelle. There's no one out there that's going to save you. You have to do it. You have to step up somehow, somewhere, take the stuff you've learned and put it to good practice. So that's what I ended up doing. And in August, I started to do some more stuff and, getting ramped up for the new school year and everything. And I went through a flare. And I think that was the stress of going back to work. And anyways, one of the calcium deposits that's on my feet. So scleroderma, just a side note, if nobody knows what scleroderma is, it's a connective tissue disorder. It's autoimmune and your body does many things. One of which in my case, and I know there's lots of different variations. In my case, my body is going haywire with calcium. It's depositing in places that it shouldn't. So it's in my hands and it's in my feet. It's also causing, I don't know if you can see some of the red blotches. It's not acne. It's actually broken blood vessels on my face, and that's also because of the scleroderma. And it also can cause breathing issues. It's basically like your body's going to stone. It's closing up. It's restrictive. So now I'm choking on foods. So like rice or pasta. If I was to have that, I would choke down in my esophagus because my esophagus is closing up. So it's making me hard to eat and it's making life difficult. And things that people take for granted, such as, things like opening car doors, getting their kids into their car seats, doing up the little class, doing your kid's zipper up, putting on a diaper. All of those little things where you're using your hands to do those fine motor skills is extremely difficult for me because, unfortunately, the scleroderma is in my hands. And I don't know if you can see that. You see this one finger in particular? That's my fat finger. And that's full of calcium right there. See it? And it's not just that. It's in my thumb. You can see it there. And there's a big nodule on the back of my ring finger on that side. Anyways, I will continue this in the next video because I'm running out of time.